was treating a rather large number of people at the time, which basically led to an overload, operating under covers with various other loads under covers. And I better describe the covers. I hope I'm anticipating the question you're going to ask me the covers were in a minute.
That'd be a good question to answer.
Okay, good. Now let me answer that and then get back to this if there's any need to get back to it, or if it's possible to get back to it after I've led you on this rather hopefully convoluted. I know it's convoluted, but at every step of the way there is a rationale in the things I do. So let's put it this way. If you wish to get back to it in a minute and recall where we were before I got off the business of covers again, please do so. Okay? Okay. I'll interrupt you to ask you to recall what I was talking about a few moments ago so I can make this digression, okay?
Okay.
Well, I basically have 3 of them, and some of them are beginning to get a little worn. One of them is not a super secret agent, as some people might want to call it, but one is a man who is basically on some kind of diplomatic mission as far as various governments of the world are concerned, and therefore has a need of immunity of such things along with operating in that vein. A second is being a happily married man, which is not true since I remain quite the bachelor yet. That's always a good one to play because it puts certain stresses and strains on various parts of my anatomy. which under the circumstances is quite humorous, especially when I relate to the fact that at one juncture I'm going to be bobbing back and forth there because I need to bob back and forth if that camera angle isn't just connected to right to make my emphasis absolutely clear. So you might stay right for that camera angle over cameraman. Let's see.
The second was that you're a happily married man.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, a happily married man who at this juncture had about 23 illegitimate children. Somewhere along the line to which I had none of the best of my knowledge, since technically speaking I had never been in bed with a woman before. But although there have been times where I've been close. And a third cover would be just to finish this off, and then we can get back to digression, hopefully. A third cover would be that of some kind of churchman with some authority. Now, under all these guises was the feeling that under any cost I had to be covered as far as certain church beliefs that I have right now. And let's just drop that one right there. Delve into that might really embarrass me as far as the credibility of any of this stuff is concerned. And I assure you, when I go undercover, I try to make it a credible one.
What's the purpose of these covers?
Well, it's probably a secure. It's probably a inverse of a defense mechanism. No, that's a chicken's way out. The real way out is that it's a serious form of theatrics, which are being played out to the hilt for some paradoxical intended purposes.
You know, we were talking about whether you had some kind of special ability. Did you really believe you were these people?
Oh, to a great degree. I was playing those roles very seriously, but let's put it this way. Never so seriously that I could not extricate myself from these roles one way or another. And never was any role adopted in any sense whatever other than to perhaps now is the correct time to use defense mechanisms and that sort of thing, other than perhaps to recall them. I got ahead of myself when I interrupted myself earlier.
When you first came into the hospital, you thought you were in the role of a doctor as well, and you thought you were treating quite a lot of patients. You were even treating some of the nurses and attendants. Was being a doctor another cover?
Well, actually being an MD, no. But being one who could handle certain kind of emergency situations, paramedic and psychiatric situations, yes, that would be all. That would be it. Not as somebody with an MD degree who's capable of prescribing the right kind of medication, but to apply some real comfort in terms of relief from physical or psychic or whatever the term applied is that applied in these circumstances. But that kind of pain, but definitely some kind of homebrewed remedy, yes. Otherwise, no connection whatsoever. Now, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good, good. Have you ever had the experience of hearing voices?
Yes, I have heard something like a voice, but always with an echo quality to it. Almost as if it were an abreaction to a circumstance where there might be something creeping up on an individual because he's had certain kinds of rackets. As I say rackets, by racket I don't mean anything other than a noise in the background that seems to linger in one's ears and comes back to haunt one later on. Those sorts of things, I think, at least from my experience, are known to do.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard only one kind of voice or a couple of different?
Oh, no. There have been, when playing this out, there have been, playing these roles out, there have been echoes of voices of many different sorts of personalities. Some of them quite prominent personalities, others of them quite humble personalities.
Okay. Are they familiar?
Yes, in some instances, Gerald R. Ford himself.
Do they tell you to do things?
No, I've never been directed by any of them.
Okay. Do they comment on what you do?
They are suggestive, but not directive.
Okay. Do they comment on what you do?
No.
Okay. Does this happen very often?
No. Only when I'm under a particular kind of stress and require release.
Yeah. Has it happened in the last few weeks?
No. Some of it was going on to a certain extent the first few weeks I was in the hospital, but that was about it. They faded away.
Have you ever felt that people are trying to harm you, or that they're conspiring against you, or anything like that?
No, never.
You know, a kind of conspiracy?
No, if there have been any conspiracies under the cover of being a security agent or that sort of thing, I'm the world's best at tracking, in terms of tracking down conspiracies. And in all instances, there would be conspiracies against another individual or related to the cause of which I essentially had no essential interest in, essential internal interest. Oh my God.
Before you came into the hospital, what kinds of things were you doing to enjoy yourself? What were you doing for fun?
Oh, well, I was doing my own cooking. Oh, that was terribly enjoyable, and I will get back to it and do some more. Which that reminds me, I've got to have the person who has been watching my apartment take one more look in the refrigerator and see that if nothing is spoiled.
Do you have any close friends?
Oh yes, I am one of the world's richest as far as close friends. Really close friends, I have enough, but not too many. And as far as outside contacts who are friendly to me and that sort of thing, I have any number of them in this hospital complex right here.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you some really simple questions. And the first one is, can you name 5 things that start with the letter D?
Dumpster, dump truck, doldrums, it's a country, dipstick, and didacticisms.
That's good. That's very good. Okay, now an easy one for a mathematician. Subtract 7 from 100, and then 7 from that. You've probably done this 100 times.
Well, I can get 93 out of it for the first time around.
Okay.
Should I continue?
Yeah, just continue.
Well, 93 take away 7, let's see, is in 86, I believe. And then after 86, 79, I believe. Have I made a mistake yet?
I'm not supposed to tell you.
Oh. How many times must I continue this?
I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay. 79. Okay, well, there's 72, 65, 58.
Okay, you can stop there. Now, can you spell the word learn backwards?
Sure. N R A E L.
Very good. How are they treating you here?
Well, can I be specific about certain items?
Sure.
Overall, the main items, the chow has been great, withstanding a trend of something right. It might be a feeling that 2 meals in a row may not go down the same thinking pattern. The breakfast is phenomenal. Don't make sense about breakfast all the time, but overall, before that, you should have said overall before that, maybe. The picture I think about certain things, we're talking about menus, meals and stuff, snacks, nutrition, going out places, or down to 1.5 wink. 1.5 wink down there. None of this. And the tributaries down there. You might go 60%, 40, 20, then overall there are certain things. You know, it might be about leaning for a while towards right on 70% categorically that way.
You know, I kind of lost you there.
I knew that.
Can you say something specifically about the types of problems you've had?
Yes, I can give you more incident. I was living at, well, let's go back further than that. Not that what we're in with now. I was living, my memory's been detoned because it's been detoned. Detoned, not set forth or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense a little bit.
Well, I'm not familiar with that term, detoned.
Well, okay. After a certain time goes by, I go back to the same old thing. Life ain't as pretty as it was, ain't fair to people, and that sort of thing. You see, I've changed the subject. Maybe I didn't. But I was in the VA in Knoxville. I've been in the VA out of state, Iowa. I've been in the VA in 2 places, and 3 places in Marshalltown, question mark, exclamation point, conditionary. That is to say, it or something. For example, usually it fades into my head, in and out. Well, they took 3 of them from me in the state. I was there for a period of time, in and out of time, segments of time. They took 3 of them from me.
They took 3 what?
Norelco head cap replacement type of hygiene scissors.
Let me ask you some specific questions.
Yeah, oh, okay. I took the show from you.
That's okay, it's your show.
Yeah.
Do you have any special talents or powers that distinguish you from most people?
Well, as you get in between realm and depiction there, that's too much of a question for me. That's a stressful question. Well, it's just like, if I could implicate, if I could talk to you, I will some more. And just like in today's world of opinion and denunciation and admirable like in pictures and friendliness and outward inliness, maybe, I'm on that thrust of it. It's just like, I better not go in that direction.
Do you have the experience of having somebody talk to you when nobody's around? Like, who talks to you?
No, it ain't, it's just somebody else's curtsy way of getting something struck for you, honing in on your brain thought pattern, or something like that.
Before you came into the hospital, were you living on your own?
Yeah, for many years.
What kind of a place?
It was in some highway, not being in and out, rural, route, subsidiary, or subdomain, urban or suburban or whatever.
Was it a house or was it an apartment?
Remodeled or whatever. Now, I was living in a old prestige area across from a central location part of the west edge of town, but not quite western.
Do you live alone or do you live with somebody?
Not exactly. There was a guy that scraped off me for a while. And he's part of the realm that I'm in here for, a mental telepathy or something.
You have some mental telepathy?
Yeah, let's work on mental telepathy again. I have some bad feelings coming gate together, you know. But somebody gets jabbed or worked off or somebody gets a dune.
When you live at home, how do you get your meals?
Throughout the whole long time?
Mm-hmm.
That's a rough one. In the old time, we spent a little down a little. You had the old fashionable weather. There were 5 stignons. Well, I won't go into that. Well, I have to. I don't want to do that. I'm just apropos among the wizards done, okay? Now, wait a minute. Usually, it's an inward thought that's different. Different.
What do you do for fun?
Ride a bicycle if the weather's padding's good. Sing to myself, collect things, dabble, doodle art, talk to people on the phone once in a while. But they're strategic in their minds. I can say that definitely. I don't mean that with a big parenthesis around it.
Do you have any friends?
They don't seem to come here for me. Not in the mail or gift house or downtown walking outside the big guy, you know? That impression of all those things together.
How old are you now?
Same one. No one rhymes. Fly jumped around on the seat, but get it, you can't identify it, man ahead of you. 43.
Very good. Do you have any family members you see regularly?
Nah. They feel secular and don't schedule you or anything.
Do you watch TV?
Well, presumably in the realm between mind being set, realm, and set about things. It's there. I get a whiz out of it sometimes. Sometimes it would be too much. I was doing the same thing at home. I could only put up with it 2.5 times, you know. 1/3 look at it and then go bonkers a little while. The realm what?
Do you follow the news at all? Like, do you know who's running for president?
Yeah, it's like a tic-tac-toe board, I think. They worked it that way between years, but they know with it. They keep pondulating a little bit of the same on that other board of that, and that may be more specific, I think. That Republicans have had their 12 or 13 years of rapidity or something. They keep saying that. I don't. I hear it to myself. Things haven't changed in 13 years.
Changing a little bit, what's this here?
A wristwatch upside down. It's less upsetting to me.
And what part of the watch is this?
That's the stem, and that's the bracelet. And you call it something different. That's the stem, that's the bracelet, and that's the base plate onicle.
Onicle, yeah. What part is this here?
The bracelet, and that's the stem. There are better names for it, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Writing marker pen.
Okay. And what are those?
Oh, tricky, woven leaguable socks. Something, wearing socks, holding socks.
Okay, that's right. Okay, now we're going to do something a little bit easier. Suppose you were to start from 20 and subtract 3. Can you try that?
From what distillation? Number?
20.
Oh, and 3 down. Ooh. All right. 17. No doubt from 20 down. 3 is 17. It would be 14. Then it would be 11. And then it would be... it gets harder to settle. I think 11 from 3 would be 8. And then 8 from 3 would be 5. And 5 from 3 would be 2.
Excellent. Can you spell the word world backwards? Okay.
I did it a couple days ago. Now I don't know. If I can, right away. All right. World is I have to think it in my mind instead. Kind of going nuts, okay? I'll make it, I think, okay, maybe. Okay, world. D-L-R-O-W.
Excellent.
Thank you.
First of all, Pat, could you tell us a little bit about the problems that you were having that brought you into the hospital this time? What kinds of things were bothering you?
I was hearing voices from God and from the devil.
What kinds of things were they saying?
They were telling me that I was sleeping with the devil, and that every day they were telling me that they were going to kill me, and that I was going to drop dead. And it was impossible for me to sleep at night because I heard all these voices commenting on what I did. Every night I felt like I was going to die.
Did you hear more than one voice? A lot of different voices?
Yeah. I heard a voice from the Antichrist that sounded like a beast, like it's snarling. And I heard voices from heaven taunting me. And I heard voices from the devil telling me that he hated Jesus. And I heard voices from a witch telling me to do things. Voices like that.
How often did you hear these? Was it a lot of the time?
All the time.
Constantly?
Yeah.
And you found that very upsetting, I guess.
Well, it drained me of energy. Through a couple of bad mistakes that I made, I didn't have any medication, and I couldn't sleep at night, so I would stay up all night long and then try to sleep during the day. But I continually felt exhausted, and I didn't want to admit it, but I was too scared that God would kill me if I went about normal business, because I had a feeling that God didn't want me to stay in Iowa City anymore. And like I can hear voices now saying, "Right on." And I was afraid to bathe because I thought that God would kill me while I was taking a bath. And I was afraid to wash my hair and comb it out for the same reason.
Would God be likely to kill you at those times?
Well, I wasn't sure. It just seemed like anything that I did for myself. See, I guess I was afraid that the minute that I started to relax, the minute that I started to feel good about myself, that God would kill me. Because one time that's what the voice said. And I guess I'm afraid of being snatched into hell unawares, so.
Do you feel you've done anything that makes you deserve having these experiences?
Well, at first I couldn't figure out what I had done, but later on the voices, very gradually over several months, the voices revealed to me what I had done. Back in Tennessee around 1978 and 1979, I thought I was a lesbian, and I masturbated a lot about a woman. And one night I was in this place that I thought was haunted by spirits, and I came to this, I was in bed and I was trying to sleep, and I came to this goddess figure appeared out of nowhere. And I had been reading these books about God really being a woman. And I was very much infatuated with the idea of God really being a goddess, and that women were superior to men and all that stuff. So, I masturbated as if I were worshiping the goddess, and I didn't realize at the time, but that was Satan and not a goddess. So now when the voice, the Jesus voice, called me a witch several months ago, I began to realize what that meant. It meant that I have the same body that Satan has because of what I did sexually. And that's why I'm being punished for my sins.
Have you ever felt that someone was trying to harm you in some way?
Yeah. I think it was last summer. It was the middle of the night, and I was thirsty, and I was hearing voices pretty bad. I don't think I was taking the medication either, and I was trying to get along without it. And one night, I was really thirsty, and I went downstairs and I washed a glass with some liquid and put some liquid ivory and drank some water. And the voices told me that somebody had put poison in the liquid ivory and that I was going to die. And so I called the poison control center, and they sent an ambulance to me, and I brought the liquid ivory, and I went to the hospital, and I told them all about it, and they sent a shrink to see me, and I almost got admitted into the hospital, but I persuaded them not to.
Have you ever felt that you had unusual or special abilities?
When I came to Iowa City, I brought that dream with me, and I elaborated on it. I thought that there were these aliens from another planet that were controlling the Earth, and that they were out to get me because I knew about them, and that's why I had that recurrent dream about being shot.
I see.
And I kept thinking that wherever I went, that this murderer who belonged to the aliens would somehow get me, and I was afraid of the people around me because I thought that they were going to kill me.
So you, in fact, have had quite a lot of experience fearing that you might be harmed in some way by different kinds of forces around you, the devil and aliens and so on. Is there any reason that you've been singled out?
I don't know why that is. I guess it's just God's will.
What kinds of things do you normally do to enjoy yourself?
I like to read. That's about all I do. I used to try to play chess, but I'm not very good at it.
During the last month or so, what kinds of things have you been doing to enjoy yourself? Reading?
Reading, but that's been spoiled. The voices interfere with my reading. Like, the group of people from heaven often come into my reading and taunt me with words on the page. And I begin to think that everything I read is determined, and that that has decided how much I'm going to read that day, and what particular moment I read. Voices come and tell me about myself, and also my desire to read seems to be caused by Satan's desire for me, and because the voices prove to me that my desire to read is sexual, and not intellectual or imaginative. And let's see, that the only book is the Bible, and that all the other books in the world are certain kinds of, all the other books in the world are lies to one degree or another, and that the only book that I can safely read is the Bible, and that all the other books in the world are created by Satan, and that I'm sinning, I'm drawing Satan closer to me whenever I read a book that's not the Bible.
Are you a lesbian now?
No, I haven't been sexually active for a couple of years now because of the voices and what they said to me. I'm afraid that any time that I try to have sex with somebody, I'm really having sex with the devil, and also defiling the other person, and I don't want to do that.
I know you came here to Iowa City to work on a master's degree in English. During the last 6 months or so, have you been able to work?
Well, I've been working in Goodwill Industries for a while, but voices kept coming to me at work and telling me to do things, like I think the devil was trying to get me on his side, and I've wavered between being on his side and trying to follow God.
Do the medications ever make the voices go away completely?
No.
Do they decrease them?
Well, part of what they do is physical. If without the medication I hear the voices all the time and it drains me physically, I feel tired all the time. With the medication, I don't feel hyper all the time. And I have this sense of well-being. It's not all that strong, but it's there, and it wasn't there before I took the medication.
Does the medication decrease the voices at all? Make them less common, less frequent?
Well, voices never go away completely, and they feel more like spiritual experiences than just like voices. But they do seem to be coming from a distance rather than being right in whatever room I'm in.
I'm going to switch the subject and ask you a couple of really simple things before we stop. Can you name 5 things that start with the letter D?
Damnation, devil, despair, desultory, driver.
Okay, good. Can you subtract 7 from 100 and 7 from that and so on? You've probably done this 1,000 times.
Let's see. 93, 86, 79.
Keep going.
72, 65.
Okay. Can you spell the word learn backwards?
N-R-A-E-L.
Okay, that's all. Thanks very much. That was very helpful.